Today's cut is going to be a high taper. Now, today we're focusing on making sure that we can rejuvenate my client's edge up bars. His vertical bars on his edge up are kind of slightly pushed back from his previous cut. Um, he had to get a cut in a hurry, so he had to do what he had to do. And this is the canvas. Now going in and prepping it, just making sure that I go from open to close method all around. Just using the down faded method. Just because I wanted that transition from bulk to where I'm gonna be prepping at. Here I'm going in with the zero, and I'm making sure that I get my first base for where my taper is gonna begin. So I'm just separating it right now. It's halfway open, just because I want to kind of keep it together, but I want to make sure that I get it to where it is higher on his occipital bone. Now just cleaning up everything I don't need and trying to find the where the reference point of the taper is gonna end at. I did have to go in again on this side of the taper because when I had did the left, I did make it high enough. So then I had to eventually go in and make it a little higher for whenever I did the taper, but that's gonna be later on, so you ain't really gotta worry about that. And now just making sure I clean up everything, get it to where I need it at before I go in and do the base for this taper. Now I'm going from closed to open, and this time is gonna be transitioning into that zero close. So just cleaning up everything with the shaver before I go in, just because I feel like prepping it is gonna it's gonna make it a lot easier. I won't have to shave up into a taper area. I could just use another system of removing those type of guides. And I did want to get the shaver high enough since it is going to be a high taper. I wanted to make sure I got it up there. Now, as I said before, with the close to open method, just going in at that bottom guide and trying to flick at it as much as possible. I do have an adjustment on these magic clips. It is the taper Babyliss blade with the ceramic cutting blade. So it is an adjustment. I mean, that's a lot kind of, and it doesn't, I don't think it closes all the way to like a true zero. So then I'm just usually going in with the trimmers, but I don't typically use the shaver, so it usually flicks out as good as possible. But I got it high and tight with the shaver, so I got to make sure that I do use my trimmers and my shaver to remove this guide. Um, just using the corners of the blade, I feel would make it a lot easier to remove. As you can see, it's coming together perfectly. Um, Now I still go in with that close to open method just so I can get it as low as I can possibly get it. You can see it's still going into the zero close at a smooth transition. It's just now I have to find some way to make it look as well as it's supposed to make the high taper look. You know what I mean? Like the high taper look for his head shape is the way it is. As you can see, his occipital bone, it has a dip in it. So then I kind of stay true to it and then flick at it as much as I need to, while still giving it that high taper look. I did drop it, so it's a high drop taper. So I made sure, like, using his occipital bones, I just made it into a drop instead of letting it like dip down his down his occipital bone, if that made any sense. Now I'm just taking my shavers and going into it again, using the corners of my shavers, just slightly flicking at it, just because I did set this guide in with my shavers, so the best way to remove it is going to be with my shavers. Um, I did a flicking method here, and You know what I'm saying? You still got to be slight with it because you don't want to make any unneeded guides. So then I just have to make sure that I flicked at it as much as possible, and then at the end of flicking at it, I did go in and go with it, just so I can make it a little closer. Because like I said, this is a high drop taper, so I want to make it as close as possible and as high as possible. Um, I mean, of course, I can go higher than that, but for his head shape, I don't want to do anything unnecessary. Now, I'm going in with the one halfway open. Since I did have the 1.5 open to close, I'm just gonna go in halfway open first and see how far I need to actually flick into this guide before I go in with my 0 all the way open. As you can see, the transition is coming together, and I mean, I didn't really stress some spots in it because, like I said, I do have to still go in with my 0 open and then flick at that later. Now I went in with the 2, and that was just cleaning up the bulk at his parietal ridge. Now the edge up. This portion, I'm gonna actually take my time and prep it for what it's supposed to be prepped for. And since he's having the issue of his edge up being pushed back in a certain spot, I'm just gonna make sure that I take my time and balance his entire edge up on both ends because he does have wavy hair. So you have to make sure that you get the edge up as sharp as possible. But since it does have the curl, you don't want it to go into the curl too much. So I just make sure I clean that up first. I don't worry about doing the vertical bar because I'm going in with the shave. Just clean that edge up a little bit. I mean, clean up the edge up a little bit better. Now going in for the vertical bar. I'm getting it as close as possible, but I'm not going into it because I don't want to go into it. Trying to preserve everything that's left and then help everything else grow back. This is one of few corrective services I do offer. For any scheduling, you can just DM me and I will get in contact with you as soon as possible. I hope you grasped something from this video. Until next time.